They thought they were safe. Behind borders, behind firewalls, behind silence. But the real war was already inside. Inside the phones. Inside the apps. Inside their lives. This is not just a story about Iran. It's about you and the world you live in. Because when data becomes a weapon and your device becomes a spy, the question is no longer who is the enemy. The real question is, are you being watched right now? Chapter 1. The Silent Attack. It was midnight, but something louder than bombs was coming. Data, signals, secrets. On June 12, 2025, Israel launched a surprise attack on Iran. No one saw it coming. Not the people. Not even many inside the Iranian government. In the first few hours, dozens of Iranian commanders were killed. Scientists gone. Buildings that looked strong turned into dust. But something was even more shocking. Iran's cybersecurity forces gave a strange order. They told guards, officers, and even ministers, do not carry your phones. Do not connect to Wi-Fi. Delete WhatsApp now. They weren't afraid of bombs anymore. They were afraid of technology. Why? Because they knew. This was not just a military attack. This was a digital war. A war of tracking, of spying, of finding people through apps, calls, and cameras. Some officials were found and killed just because they were using a normal phone. The Iranian government didn't wait. Within hours, they shut down the entire internet. They cut all mobile networks. The country went silent. But silence is not always peace. In the shadows, Israel and the United States were working together. One had the spies, the other had the satellites. The New York Times later said, many Israeli agents inside Iran were not Iranian. They came from Iraqi Kurdistan and a group called MEK, a group that hates the Iranian regime. These agents knew the streets. They knew the targets. They were ready. And the Americans? They were watching everything. Their satellites were in the sky. Their software was inside phones, computers, maybe even inside buildings. They were not just watching Iran. They were watching the world. Even before the attack, even before the drones flew. President Trump already knew it was coming. Why? Because his spies were part of it. They gave Israel real-time intelligence. Names, locations, schedules, and even private messages. Iran's leaders understood one thing. The war was never just on the ground. It was in the air, in the internet, and in the apps people use every day. They began to ask, is that phone in your pocket safe? Is that message on WhatsApp private? Is that app on your child's phone harmless? The answer was no. That's why they deleted the apps. That's why they hid the devices. That's why they told people, trust nothing connected to the West. Because one signal, one wrong click, could mean death. This wasn't just a bombing. It was a warning. Iran was naked in front of the world's most powerful eye, and that eye was American. Chapter 2. No devices, no signals. A phone, a simple phone, can be a weapon. After the attack, Iran changed everything. They didn't just ask for silence, they demanded it. Guards were told, "Turn off your phones." Ministers were told, "Don't use WhatsApp, Telegram, or Signal." Scientists were told, "Stay offline." No emails, no calls, no texts. But why? Because Iran believed something terrifying. Their phones were not theirs. They were listening devices, tracking devices. The enemy wasn't just at the border. He was in your pocket, in your hand, on your desk. You see, when a phone connects to the internet, it talks, it shares data. It sends your location, your voice, your photos, even if you don't see it, even if you don't mean it. And when the phone talks, the NSA listens, the CIA records, the Mossad watches. That's why Iran acted fast. They didn't care if it looked extreme. They knew the truth. America and Israel had eyes everywhere. They could see through apps. They could hear through walls. There were stories. Some said a man died because his wife had WhatsApp. Others said drones were guided by phone signals. It was not just fear. It was experience. Iran had lost leaders before. Scientists, engineers. Each time, the killers seemed to know exactly where to go. So this time, they went dark. The internet went black. Even international websites were blocked. No emails could go out. No messages could come in. Iran became an island. No waves, no signals, no lights. But going dark has a price. Banks stopped working. Companies lost contact. Even hospitals couldn't send reports. People were confused. Why is my phone not working? Why is YouTube gone? Why can't I speak to my cousin in Canada? The answer was simple. Because someone is watching, and we don't know who. The Iranian government didn't trust technology anymore. Not American apps, not foreign cables, not even phones bought in local shops. They believed everything could be a trap. Every device could be a spy. Was it paranoia? Maybe, but maybe not. Because in the past, secrets were shared in meetings. Now, secrets are shared on screens. And those screens are not safe. That's why Iran's leaders made one choice. No devices, no signals. A choice between control and survival. Chapter 3. America's invisible power. You can't see it. You can't hear it. But it's there. Every second. Everywhere. This is America's power. Invisible, silent, deadly. Most people think war is about tanks and bombs. But the real weapon? Information. And America is the master of it. Let's go back to the attack on Iran. Israel launched the planes. But America gave the map. They knew where the targets were, not just buildings, but people, names, phones, habits, where they live, where they sleep, when they meet their family. How? Because America owns something few understand. A massive system of surveillance, bigger than any army, stronger than any drone. It begins with the NSA, the National Security Agency. This agency doesn't send soldiers. It sends signals. It reads emails, listens to calls, and watches through satellites. One program is called X-Keyscore. It can find anything, from anyone, in seconds. Another is PRISM. It takes data from Google, Apple, Facebook, and more. And it's not just America. They share their secrets with 4 other countries: the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Together, they are called the Five Eyes. This alliance can watch the world, from space, from the sea, from your phone. But what about Israel? Israel doesn't have the same tools, but they are good, very good, at human spying. They send agents. They use tricks. They build networks. Many Israeli spies in Iran came from Iraqi Kurdistan, or MEK, the opposition group. They knew the language. They blended in. So, America brings the eyes in the sky. Israel brings the feet on the ground. Together, they are unstoppable. One finds the target, the other pulls the trigger. That's what happened in Iran, a perfect partnership. But there's something more shocking. America doesn't just spy on enemies, it spies on everyone, even allies, even friends. Germany, France, Brazil, even the United Nations. No one is safe. Why? Because for America, knowledge is power, and power must be total. This is not a movie. It's real. They don't need to invade. They don't need to threaten. They just watch, listen, collect. They know what you search, what you say, what you dream. And when the time comes, they know where to find you. This is the new battlefield. Invisible, digital, global. Chapter 4. Snowden, the man who spoke. One man, one laptop, one secret that shook the world. His name was Edward Snowden. Before 2013, he was just another worker, a quiet man, a computer expert. He worked for NSA, the most secret part of America's intelligence system. He saw things, strange things, files, programs, spy tools, and one day, he couldn't stay silent anymore. In June 2013, Snowden flew to Hong Kong. He had something big to share. He met journalists, but before talking, he did something strange. He took their phones and put them inside the refrigerator. Why? Because he believed even a phone, turned off, could be used to listen, to spy, to track. It sounded crazy, but it was true. Snowden knew America had the power to turn phones into ears, even when they were in your pocket, even when you weren't speaking. He gave the journalists files, real, official files, and what they found was terrifying. A secret program called PRISM. It allowed the NSA to take data directly from tech companies, Google, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Yahoo, Skype, YouTube. They weren't hacked. They cooperated. They gave emails, photos, videos, private messages, everything. People were shocked. Even Americans didn't know. Even the company's users didn't know. Their lives were not private. And that was just the beginning. Snowden gave more documents to The Guardian, a British newspaper. One program was called TEMPORA. It belonged to Britain's spies. What did it do? It captured underwater internet cables. Yes, those long cables deep in the ocean. Every message, every video, every call that passed through those cables was recorded. In just one location in England, they were tapping into 200 cables. They were collecting 600 million phone events per day. Emails, texts, calls. And guess what? The US and UK were working together. A global web of spying. Snowden's files showed more tools, more names, more proof. It was no longer a theory. It was real. Your phone can spy. Your email can be read. Your webcam can be watched. And it wasn't just for terrorists. It was for everyone. Snowden's life changed forever. America called him a traitor. Others called him a hero. He escaped to Russia, where he still lives today. But thanks to him, the world saw the truth. The digital world is not free, not private, not safe. He opened a door, and behind it was a world full of eyes. Chapter 5. Prism and the Tech Giants. Snowden opened the box, and what came out was bigger than anyone imagined. One word stood out: PRISM. But what is PRISM? It was not just a spy tool. It was a secret pipeline. A direct line between the NSA and the biggest tech companies in the world: Google, Apple, Facebook, Microsoft, Yahoo, Skype, YouTube. Even Apple joined in 2012. Not by accident. By agreement. Yes. These companies helped the U.S. government. They gave full access, emails, photos, private chats, videos, search history, even your cloud storage. Think about that. Every selfie, every love message, every search you made at night. It was all collected. You weren't just online. You were being watched, and no one told you. Snowden's documents showed a PowerPoint, a training guide for NSA agents. It listed all the companies, the dates they joined, and what kind of data they shared. Microsoft, first in 2007, then Yahoo in 2008, Google and Facebook in 2009, YouTube in 2010, Skype and AOL in 2011, and finally, Apple in 2012. 2012. The PRISM system made it easy. No need to hack. No need to break firewalls. The companies opened the door. Some said they were forced. Others said they agreed silently. But the result was the same. Billions of people were being watched. Most were not criminals, not terrorists, just normal users. People like you and me. That's what made it scary. No one was safe, not even world leaders. In fact, Snowden showed that the NSA spied on German Chancellor Angela Merkel's phone. Yes, an ally, a friend. So what about people in Iran, or Egypt, or Brazil? If America spied on its own friends, what do you think it did to its enemies? This is why Iran became afraid. This is why they told people, delete WhatsApp. Turn off your phone. Because they knew the truth, PRISM wasn't just a program. It was a weapon, a silent one. No bombs, no bullets, but still deadly. It could track a scientist, follow his voice, listen to his kids, watch his life. And then, boom, a missile hits his car. All because he sent a message on an app. Many people didn't believe it at first. They said, that's just conspiracy. America would never do that. But Snowden's files were real, and more came. Emails from diplomats, chats from CEOs, photos from private folders. Nothing was hidden. One file showed how the NSA could record video calls on Skype in real time. No delay, no warning. Just listening. This was not fiction. This was the new world. So, what did the tech companies say? Some said, we didn't know. Some said, we had to obey. Some said, nothing. But trust was broken. Millions of users felt betrayed. They thought their data was safe. Their lives were private. They were wrong. And from that day, the internet changed. People used encryption. They stopped sharing locations. Some went offline completely. But the damage was done. America had shown the world one thing. It doesn't need to knock on your door. It's already inside your phone. Chapter 6. Spying Under the Ocean. When we think of the internet, we think of satellites, signals, air. But the truth is, most of the internet travels underwater. Yes, deep under the oceans. There are cables, long, thick cables. They connect the world. They carry your emails, your videos, your voice calls. And America and Britain? They found a way to spy on them. In 2013, Snowden's files revealed something shocking. A British agency called GCHQ had a secret program. It was called Tempora. This program allowed them to tap into underwater fiber optic cables. Together with the NSA, They watched everything passing through those lines. Millions. No, billions of messages every day. Emails, photos, passwords, even real-time calls. They didn't need permission. They didn't ask. They just took the data. In one location alone, Cornwall, a coastal region in England, they were tapping more than 200 cables. The data passing through was massive. 10 gigabytes per second per cable. That's like downloading 10 full movies every second. From just one cable. Now, imagine 200. The British and Americans had a special team. 300 analysts from the UK. 250 from the US. Their job? To sort through the information, to find names, patterns, codes, anything useful. It was like fishing. But in an ocean of secrets. One message from Iran, one email from Egypt, one video from Brazil. If it passed through the cable, they could see it. And here's the scary part. Much of this data was not encrypted. Yes, it wasn't even protected. You see, when you send an email using Gmail, it gets encrypted between you and Google. But inside Google, as it moves from one data center to another, it used to be open, unprotected. That was the weak point, and the spies knew it. So they waited, watched, and collected. One of the worst programs they used was called MUSCULAR. It targeted this exact weakness. They used it to spy on Google and Yahoo's internal data transfers. No hacking needed, just quiet observation. Once again, America and Britain didn't ask. They didn't warn. They just watched. This made companies panic. Google, Yahoo, and others started encrypting their internal systems. But Snowden said, even then, there were still weaknesses. Some cables, some moments, some tools. Not everything could be protected. Even today, data is still vulnerable while traveling, like a letter in the mail. It may be locked, but someone can still steal it before it reaches the mailbox. Iran understood this. That's why they were afraid. That's why they cut the internet after the Israeli attack. Because they knew, even if a message was short, fast, and encrypted, someone could still read it. This wasn't just about Iran. It was about the whole world. Most people had no idea. They used the internet for fun, for work, for love. But in the background, eyes were watching, collecting, storing. One day, you send a message. 5 years later, someone opens it. It's still there. Saved, analyzed. That's the real power of tempora and muscular. It's not spying today. It's spying forever. Because once a secret is saved, it never dies. And the cables under the sea? They're not just technology. They're the battlefield of the future. You can't see them. You can't touch them. But through them, the world is watching you. Chapter 7. The Devices That Betrayed. Not every spy wears a suit. Not every weapon makes a sound. Sometimes, the most dangerous weapon is the device in your hand. For years, countries trusted their phones, their computers, their communication systems. They believed, if we use encrypted devices, we are safe. But they were wrong. Let me tell you a secret. A story that stayed hidden for 50 years. There was once a company called Crypto AG. It was based in Switzerland, a neutral country. A country that didn't take sides. People trusted it. Crypto AG made secure communication devices, machines for encryption, used by governments, used by armies, used by diplomats. Over 120 countries bought from them, even in the Middle East, even Iran. Everyone believed Crypto AG was clean, honest, and safe. But in 2020, the truth exploded. The CIA, America's spy agency, had secretly bought the company, all the way back in 1970. Yes, they owned it. And no one knew. They worked together with Germany's spy service. They bought the company through a fake business in a small country called Liechtenstein. Crypto AG kept selling devices, but now those machines had a secret, back doors. That means, even though the devices showed encryption, they were actually sending copies of every message to the Americans. It was like whispering into a friend's ear. But your enemy is secretly listening from behind the wall. For decades, the U.S. read private messages, secret army plans, peace talks, nuclear negotiations. They read about the Iranian Revolution. They followed the Iran-Iraq War. They even saw details about Camp David, the peace deal between Egypt and Israel. And the worst part? The countries didn't know. They paid money to be spied on. One machine, one phone, one deal could give the U.S. everything. And America wasn't alone. Britain had similar systems. Israel used its own techniques too. But America's method, it was silent, it was legal on paper, and it was global. This is why Iran became paranoid. They realized something dangerous. Even encrypted devices can lie. Even a machine that says safe can be the knife in your back. That's why Iranian leaders started checking everything. Where was this phone made? Who controls the software? Which company built the chips? They began to suspect, is this a tool for us or against us? Because when a spy lives inside your device, you are never truly alone. This changed the game. Cybersecurity became a war, not just between countries, but between hardware and truth. It was no longer enough to hide your words. You had to hide how you speak, what you use, who built it. And that's not easy. In today's world, almost every device comes from just a few places. Many from the West, many connected to powerful governments. So now, every call is a risk. Every message is a decision. Every device is a question. Can you trust your own phone? If the answer is no, then maybe You are already under attack. Chapter 8. Israel's role in the shadows. In the dark corners of the world, some wars are fought without armies. Some battles leave no smoke, no noise, only shadows, and one of the most skilled players in these shadows is Israel. When Iran woke up to the attack on June 12, 2025, it was already too late. Scientists were dead, commanders were gone, buildings were destroyed. But how did Israel do it? How did they know where to strike, when to hit, who to target? The answer is in the shadows. Israel has no embassy in Iran, no formal presence, but it doesn't need one. Because Israel has something else, spies. And not just any spies. Spies who speak the language, spies who know the streets, spies who look like locals. Many came from Kurdistan in Iraq. Others came from MEK, a group that fights against the Iranian government. They live inside Iran. They move silently. They watch, listen, and wait. These agents played a huge role. They gathered details, marked targets, helped drones enter Iranian airspace from inside the country. Yes, some of the drones used in the attack were launched from within Iran itself. That's why Iran was shocked. It wasn't just an external war. It was a war from within. But Israel's power doesn't stop at humans. It goes digital too. You may have heard of Pegasus. It's not just a name. It's one of the most advanced spy tools in the world. Pegasus was developed by NSO Group, an Israeli company. It can enter your phone without you clicking anything. No links, no warning, just silence. Once inside, it can read your messages, turn on your microphone, access your camera, track your location, and you won't even know. That's why it's called a zero-click attack, because you don't need to do anything to be watched. Iran knew about Pegasus. They feared it. They warned officials, don't use Western apps. Don't trust any phone. But there's more. Former officers from Unit 8-200, Israel's cyber intelligence unit, now work inside big tech companies. Google, Meta, Microsoft. They hold real positions. They make real decisions. Some say, these are just jobs. It's normal. But others ask, can you trust people who were trained to spy, working inside your favorite apps? This made Iran even more suspicious, because now it's not just about software. It's about the people behind it. Maybe your app is clean, but is the team behind it truly neutral? For Israel, spying on Iran is not new. They've done it for years. But in June 2025, they did something bigger. They acted alone. They flew deep into Iranian skies. They hit targets with perfect precision. Could they do this without help? Many believe no. Because even with skilled spies and strong software, Israel needed more. They needed American satellites, American data, American green light, and they got it. But their part in the mission was real, direct, and sharp. No hesitation, no public announcement, just results. Israel showed the world one thing, even without borders. They can reach you, even without war. They can strike. And even without being seen, they can win. But for Iran, this was more than just a military loss. It was a message that said, you are not alone. Not even in your own land. Chapter 9. No one is safe. They turned off the lights. They shut down the internet. They put their phones in the fridge, but still, they were watched. After the attack on Iran, something changed. Not just in Tehran, not just in the government, but in the minds of the people. No one felt safe anymore. Because the enemy was invisible. It didn't come with tanks or bombs. It came through the screen. A message, a signal, a file too small to see. That's all it took. Iran had learned the hard way. Apps could betray. Phones could spy. Even a child's tablet could leak secrets. So, the question became, what can we trust? Not WhatsApp, not Google, not Facebook, not even devices made in neutral countries. Because America had already shown what it could do. Its satellites see everything. Its systems collect everything. Its programs save everything. With tools like X-Keyscore, one analyst could ask, show me every file sent from Iran. And in seconds, he would get it. Not just military documents, but private photos, medical reports, love letters, passwords, everything. And even worse, the system doesn't forget. The internet moves fast. But American intelligence moves faster. That joke you sent last year, still there. That photo you deleted, still stored. That call with your friend in Europe, recorded forever. Iran realized they were fighting a ghost with eyes in the sky, ears in the walls, and hands inside every screen. They tried to respond. More firewalls, more rules, more control. But the truth was simple. There is no full escape. If your phone connects to a signal, if your voice travels across the air, if your data flows through a cable, then someone, somewhere, can reach you. That's why Iran's leaders became paranoid. They stopped using apps. They met face to face. They used paper, not keyboards. Some even used typewriters again. Yes, typewriters. Old, heavy, safe, because no one could hack ink. But how long can a country stay offline? How long can a nation run from the world? The answer is not clear, because the world is now one big network, one big system, and the system is being watched, not just Iran, not just enemies. Even America's friends were shocked when they discovered their phones were tapped, their presidents were spied on, their secrets were no longer secret. In this world, data is power. More than oil. More than weapons. And America owns the largest bank of secrets. It sees, it hears, it waits for the right moment to use what it knows. And so the world continues. People scroll, type, talk, share, not knowing that behind the screen, someone is watching.